Dobry wieczór, and welcome to this skating lesson. Well, dear listeners, tonight I wanted to give you an update on the pro Eteri Tutberidze media and how they are covering the decision of Sasha Trusova to change from the Tutberidze group to the Plushenko Ice Angels, and also a deep dive into the woman who may be the mastermind of all of this, Yana Rudkovskaya. You know, there have been many insinuations about Yana for years, and when I asked a Russian friend for some background information that could be useful about Yana, she said to me, "Dev, I thought you'd never ask." And so let us dive in to some of the pro-Eteri articles that are about this, lest we seem one-sided. And this is the kind of information that we are looking for. This in the Sport Business Gazeta.ru, and the article reads, Trusova was disagreeing to Tutberidze decisions and tried to take away 2 times. It must be admitted that the change of Trusova coach did not come as a surprise. If before the beginning of last season, Alexandra was considered the main contender for victories in any competitions, then during the season her positions fell significantly down. Group competitors Anna Sherbakova and Alyona Kosternaya increased their technical potential, learned new elements, and brought stability to the standard. Trusova, in response, only got nervous, randomly rearranged the quadruples, and tried unfinished jumps at the competitions. As a result, she lost, swore with coaches, and watched from the side as Sherbakova and Kosternaya find out amongst themselves who is the strongest in the world. Naturally, the situation did not suit Alexandra. According to Business Online, a source familiar with the situation, a major conflict between Trusova and Tutberidze happened even after the failure of the Championship of Russia in December. Before the start, the skater argued with the coach about the technical content. If Trusova insisted on performing 5 quadruple jumps and a triple axel, then Tutberidze asked to abandon the axel and 1 quad, believing this was the way the competition would be cleaner and gain more points. As a result, Trusova tore 3 of 4 out of 4 and was close to relegation from the base of the team. For the first time, Alexandra could not restrain her emotions in public. After a failed competition, several hours, the coach tried to reassure the figure skater, and then her mother for a few hours, despite the fact that Tutberidze's tactics were absolutely logical. The number of jumps proposed by Trusova was something of a science fiction. The coach's bet didn't work out in the eyes of the skater. After that, Trusova's parents talked with Tutberidze in elevated tones and planned to try their hand at an overseas specialist. Note, this is when we were hearing lots of rumors about Rafael Arturian. The conflict was resolved, but after the European Championships, parents again began searching for a new coach. The situation at the European Championships turned out to be similar to that at the Russian Nationals. 5 quadruples were forbidden for Trusova to jump. She made 3 with gross mistakes, and again dropped out of the fight for first place. After the tournament in Austria, Trusova already began to hint to the press that she did not agree with the opinion of the coaching staff. "I do not want to execute the program with 3. I need 5 quadruples," she said in an interview. Tutberidze again managed to resolve the conflict, and apparently it was not bad to prepare Trusova for the World Cup. At least in the video posted, she performed a pure program with 5 quadruple jumps. Only the World Championships in Canada was thwarted by the coronavirus, and with it, Alexandra's chances to rehabilitate an unsuccessful season. Tutberidze doesn't talk out from the transition to Plushenko. According to the publication, the final decision of Trusova and her parents took almost immediately after the cancellation of the World Championships. While the figure skaters of Krustalny were working out the learned elements on the rink, Trusova was resting in Egypt. And when self-isolation mode was introduced in Russia, and training in Sambo 70 went online, Trusa never connected to the Tutberidze group conferences in Zoom. Trusova had a family council at home where they were no longer talking about continuing to work with Tutberidze, and there was talk of finding another coach. several options were moved. As a result of Trusova and her parents, they stopped at Plushenko's academy. 2 weeks ago, Sasha informed Tutberidze herself about this. This time, the coach, who is now with her daughter in the United States, did not even try to dissuade the ward. Apparently, Eteri Georgievna no longer had the patience and the strength to argue with such a difficult student. But the top leadership of the Federation, which wanted to stop Trusova, had the strength to argue. They tried to resolve the conflict by acting as an arbitrator, but it was already too late. Plushenko has very sharp and tense relations with Tutberidze. There is an opinion that he had already tried to transfer Sambo 70 students to his academy. Also, the ex-coach of Krusony Alexander Volkov works in his team, and together with Trusova, one of the most important members of the team of the current headquarters of Tutberidze, Sergei Razanov, has joined Plushenko. Razanov works with juniors and helps Sergei Dudakov to put the technical elements. For example, Alyona Kosternaya admitted in an interview with Business Online that it was Razanov who helped her master her crown element, a triple axel. Razanov also works with quadruple jumps. It was Razanov's invitation and Volkov's presence at Plushenko's headquarters that became the decisive factor that made Trusova's transitions to Plushenko's Angels possible. Volkov worked with a very young Trusova and was the first to notice talent in the girl. After Volkov's decision to go work with Plushenko, the coach clashed with parents for some time, but now all issues have been resolved. The decision of the crowd is a great risk. Plushenko has no victory experience. The decision to change the coach of Trusova is at least controversial, as it was Tutberidze who made a little-known girl from Ryazan a world star, a favorite in any tournament, and an official Adidas partner. The easy execution of Trusova's quads is partly due to the figure skater's unique anatomy. Thin and short Alexandra, with good body coordination, is ideal for performing extremely complex jumps, but without the competent work of a large specialist in technique, which Sergei Dudakov from the Tutberidze team is considered to be, a quadruple Lutz would have been a pipe dream for Trusova. If Volkov and Razanov somehow managed the moment with the technique, then Trusova will no longer have the lack of competition within the group. Tutberidze did not seek to work for the result of a particular athlete, but for the team victory of Sambo 70. According to Tutberidze's plans, performing new complex jumps in front of their rivals were supposed to motivate teammates. "It's so interesting," the trainer wrote after each new learned jump, as if teasing the other students. This strategy was well understood, for example by Kosternaya, who from wounded pride became the motivation for studying the axel. Pause here. Kosternaya was actually kicked out of Eteri's groups and not given any attention for 6 months, but I love how it's written here. The strategy was well understood, for from whom wounded pride became the motivation for studying the axel. But Trusova perceived the situation differently. As reported by Sport24, Alexandra suffered from an attention deficit in the Tutberidze group. According to the source of the publication, the main stake in the group was made on Sherbakova as the most obedient and balanced skater, and the skinniest. In addition, she is in the Tutberidze group the longest. But they didn't work out with Trusova individually, which was not enough for the skater. At Plushenko's school, she'll definitely become a prima. The academy of the two-time Olympic champion has been working for several years, but so far it has not become famous from a sports point of view. Plushenko's group did not have any real-world stars. The Olympic champion of Sochi 2014, Adelina Sotnikova, tried to train with him, but it didn't come to any real appearances. That was pretty much for shows. After Sotnikova, Plushenko tried 2 promising athletes, Serafima Sakhanovich and Anastasia Tarkanova. They had a vivid presentation and potential, but as a result, both left Evgeny, and with scandal. Plushenko stopped training after Sakhanovich. Since Serafima had no money to pay for training, her parents had lost their jobs. Tarakanova left due to a personal conflict. Anastasia complained about uncomfortable working conditions, and Plushenko complained about the nature of Tarakanova. In fact, Plushenko's academy didn't do any real sports, concentrating its work on cooperation with the children of famous politicians and businessmen. For example, the daughter of Roman Rothenberg. For a long time, Xenia did not even have a full-sized ice rink, necessary for working with ultra-talented skaters. But now the school's strategy has changed, and Plushenko wants to prove that he is able to achieve results. Caution results in Plushenko will influence the other Tutberidzes. Trusova. With Trusova, Plushenko will try to create the most comfortable conditions. Finally in his hands is the strong athlete at the peak of her career. The status of the first student, familiar trainers, and a motivated Plushenko. If it all comes together, Alexandra's bet can play, but the risks are very great. Trusova set her career in exchange for obscure prospects. The honored trainer of the USSR, Yana Trusova, complained that if results remain at least at the same level, then this can already be considered a success. Alexandra won absolutely all of the titles in the junior division of the sport, but in the senior level, she may still be the owner of numerous records without a single significant victory. Did the stages of the Grand Prix not count as such? The example of Evgenia Medvedeva, who also left Tutberidze due to a lack of attention of the coach, shows that when leaving the Sambo 70, the skaters lose their former stability and authority among the judges. Especially given the reluctance of the Federation to let Trusova out of Krustelny, it is highly likely that the referees will be more strict in assessing the athlete's skating. And even without this, she has the reputation of a man who, for the sake of a quadruple, does not pay attention to artistry and gliding. As if Tutberidze does? Anyway, let's face it. At Tutberidze, many of Trusova's flaws were forgiven. But with Plushenko, will that favor be said goodbye? In any case, the AAA broke up. It was only a matter of time. It is obvious that for one trainer, 3 such ambitious athletes will not stand for a long time. The first to surrender will be Trusova. Will Kosternaya and Sherbakova want to take such risks? Much will depend on how the fate of Trusova develops in the new school. Such an ominous article, with such an interesting spin on the situation. Well, another person famous for spin, the choreographer and teacher of the Boogie Woogie, Alexey Zheleznyakov, choreographer in the Tutberidze group, has given an interview, and he says that Plushenko shouldn't think small. In fact, he should hire Tutberidze. In the interview with Alexey Zheleznyakov for our friend Dmitry Kuznetsov for Sports Express RU, the choreographer in the group of Eteri Tutberidze spoke. The specialist told about Trusova's prospects. He gave Plushenko unusual advice and spoke about poaching in Russian figure skating. Dima said, "Let's go straight to the point. What do you think about Trusova's chances for success in a new place?" Alexei, "Oh, I don't know. This is a difficult question. In my opinion, Sasha, like all of our girls, was motivated by fierce competition in the team. That's where the real reason of progress is. What will happen now? To be the best among the worst? Will there be such a thrill of training, the desire to surpass a training mate? Sorry, I doubt it. In the end, there are many examples, bitter examples, but unfortunately, they do not teach anyone anything. You said you would not leave the group of Tutberidze even for $1 million. Were there any offers? Maybe from Plushenko's academy? Were there many zeros attached?" Alexei, "Yes, they did, but not Russian schools, foreign ones. And the conditions were very good, but no, they will get nothing from me. As a choreographer, whom would you advise Plushenko to attract working with Alexandra?" Alexei, "I would suggest dear Evgeny not thinking small and contacting Eteri Tutberidze, trying to hire her. Let him call, explain the situation, that they are looking for a choreographer, ask for help. It will be interesting to look at that." Pause. Eteri actually choreographed that horrific long program that Sasha Trusova skated last season, but apparently Dmitry, a Russian reporter, and Alexei, the employee of Eteri, seem to have forgotten this. There are rumors that someone else will join Plushenko's academy. The names Zhilina, Usashova, Samsonov appeared. Is there some truth in that? Zheleznyakov, honestly, I have no desire to get into all this. I'm very unpleasant about situations like this. For me, all these children are like relatives, but very often parents' ambitions overshadow all common sense, and as a rule, they don't benefit. If people want to leave, no one will hold them. With such a coaching team, you can grow new champions. Let everyone think and choose their own path. Now they are leaving Krustolny, but maybe new skaters are coming. We just don't know about them. Because some may have the feeling that everyone is running away. Alexei: what makes you think everyone is running away? Now the whole figure skating is in constant rotation. It has become common that athletes start to run from one coach to another as soon as something starts to fail. They are looking for happiness, or rather, as I like to say, they are looking for the ass in the dark. That is, they make strange moves instead of thinking whether they are doing everything right. Everything is fine in Krustolny. Some have left, others have come. It's usual situation. But how an athlete leaves his coach is another matter. There is such a thing as decency, which in our time is being used less and less. As for the arrival of new faces, then yes, someone is constantly having a tryout. I have no right to call the names. But soon, everyone will know everything. Daniil Gleichenhaus said that you already faced with luring to the Plushenko's academy. Is this not a common method for you? After all, it happens in companies and in other sports. Alexey Zheleznyakov: I have no respect for those coaches who work hard. He says, I have respect for athletes and coaches who work hard and bring up athletes and do not plot and lure athletes. For me, these methods are unacceptable. As I said, the word decency is not applicable here. It's all disgusting. Johnny Weir just said that he continues his career in professional figure skating. Well, let's all become angels on skates. Both Yuzuru and Johnny. Let Plushenko take them all. If it doesn't work out in sports, they'll be immediately hired for the show. Working for many years with Tutberidze, I have never seen her luring someone into our team. Athletes come on their own, go through rigorous selection in the form of a trial period. If they do not cope, bye. What to do is a big sport, a rather cruel world. Maybe we should have contracts in figure skating and make official transfers, like in football. Alexey Zheleznyakov: actually, the contract system is a good topic for discussion. Only the contract should be very seriously worked out and thought out. After all, how can they spit in the coaches' souls? Yana Rudkovskaya will not be surprised if Tutberidze, after unfollowing Trusova on Instagram, will follow Plushenko. Will you follow him? Alexey Zheleznyakov: I would also unfollow. Well, actually, I already did so. You need to leave beautifully and correctly, and not in the way it was done. When a person betrays us, they cease to exist for us. After all respect and love simply disappear. And about Mrs. Rudkovskaya, I'll say this. Everyone knows how well she can make public relations out of scandal, to hype. Everything is used, just all the resources. Such activities are not for us, and this does not bring respect from other people. We must all be above this and go our own way, the way of the light. Well, to see the Tutberidze team put in such an appropriate white light, it really brightens my soul. And to hear them talk about Yana Rudkovskaya, one of our new favorite figures, the second wife of Evgeny Plushenko. Well, let's talk about Yana, about how she began her career in beauty salons in Sochi in 1998 when she graduated from the university. For 3 years, Yana Rudkovskaya owned the French beauty studio chain of salons until she acquired the exclusive right to the Frank Provost brand in Russia. At the opening of one of the salons in Sochi, Frank Provost himself was present, and he was extremely pleased with what he saw. Now Yana is the CEO of his chain of beauty salons. 5 years after starting a business career in the fashion world, Yana founded the Grand La Scala Fashion Group, which specialized in the sale of clothes of popular brands: Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Yves Saint Laurent, Roberto Cavalli. However, the fashion world seemed to Yana very little, and she decided to go into show business. Her greatest success in the field was Dima Bilan, who in 2008 won the Eurovision Song Contest. In addition to success in Europe, Dima became one of the most titled domestic artists, having won a large number of awards. The success of Bilan in Europe led to the fact that in the same year, Yana became the winner of the award Soundtrack as the best producer. The Soundtrack Prize, as follows from the biography of Yana Rudkovskaya on its official website. The producer won 2 more titles in 2007 and 2010. She has many other show business titles. Now, In 2009, Rudkovskaya released Confession of a Kept Woman. In the book, she talks about childhood and the first successes in the fashion businesses. Critics noted that in the book, its author avoided such important places in real production life as financial relationships with the artist, as well as contracts with authorities and criminal figures. Now, if kept woman seems to be a little bit of a interesting phrase, full of subtext for you, there is much of that regarding Yana in general. Is she a kept woman, a high-end escort, a gold digger? Perhaps we don't know, but does it really matter? Because Yana has been married before, and this is something that is perhaps the most interesting of Yana, because she seems to have had her come up in a type of Sopranos-like situation. And it has been said by many that Yana fought the mafia and came out on the other side. So Tutberidze may be nothing for Yana Rudkovskaya. You see, in the life of Yana Rudkovskaya, there were 2 official marriages and 1 in the church. Now, the first love of the producer was businessman Evgeny Plushenko. She met him in Baranal and then moved with him to Sochi. At 26, Yana married billionaire Victor Baturin, who is the brother of Elena Baturina. You see, Victor is mafia, and Elena is far worse. You see, Yana met with Victor in Sochi during football. Yana Baturina considers the man extraordinary, smart, and very ambiguous. According to her, he was capable of both great feats and great tyranny. During the divorce, as Yana later recalled, Baturin's goal was to destroy his wife, for which he used all of his financial and administrative resources. According to her, it was at that same time administrative, law enforcement, and even bandit assault. The second husband of Yana Rudkovskaya is Evgeny Plushenko. The media first reported they had a relationship after the victory of Dima Bilan at the Eurovision 2008. In September 2009, Yana and Evgeny planned a wedding, and 8 years after that, they got married in a church. Now, it is very interesting. Yana's ex-sister-in-law was actually known as the Maid of Moscow, and they all had businesses together, and it's believed that approximately half of Moscow's real estate was theirs. She was also in the government, and her husband was actually the mayor of Moscow. Now, the children of Yana Rudkovskaya is actually also a very interesting situation. Rudkovskaya has raised 3 children: Andrei, born in 2001, Nikolai, born in 2002, and Alexandra, or Sasha, born in 2013, who is Plushenko's mini-mini. Andrei and Nikolai are children from Baturin. Now, at the end of December 2011, Yana admitted that Andrei was not actually her own son, but an adopted one. His real mother is Elena Saltovets, the second wife of Baturin. Rudkovskaya was actually his third wife. According to Wikipedia, this article says, Yana took her child from the hospital ward without the mother's consent, according to media reports. Saltovets herself wrote that in the maternity hospital, the child was abandoned from her, after which Rudkovskaya took custody of him. As a result of the lengthy trials with Baturin, Nikolai stayed with his mother and Andrei with his father. The situation changed in 2011 when Victor was put into jail in the case of fraud in exchange of his company. After that, the children moved to live with their mother. And that's why we only see the mini-me with Yana and Evgeny on Instagram. Now, it's also interesting is that Yana and Evgeny actually have a reality show where they play out many things on TV. They're somewhat of becoming the Russian Kardashians, and they seem to discuss quite a lot. There has been a lot of speculation that Evgeny has had a mistress over the last 2 years, and they had an entire episode of the show about it. And they said, actually, that, in the show that they both denied the fact that there was such a mistress, which is important to note. But the fact that there was an entire episode devoted to it is certainly curious. Also, one of the storylines is that Evgeny does not like to attend many public events, and Yana is always seen out. She is often shown as being the best friend of many celebrities, such as Tatiana Navka, until she later feuds with them. Now, also, this article says that Yana is very aware of the situation with the mistress, but is extremely afraid of divorce. It is with this that the wedding is connected, which is why they got married at a church in 2017. According to media reports, Evgeny made a lover 2 years ago. They spent a lot of time together in the country house of the Olympic champion near St. Petersburg. And she herself is from the city on the Neva. Now, it's also interesting that Evgeny not wanting to attend public events and being shown being miserable at them has become a running thing on the show. It's unclear if that's just for show or just for life, but it is considered that Yana is really the power behind the throne and the woman who is certainly, if the man is the head, Yana is the neck, turning Evgeny left and right and turning his academy and making it one of the most successful in Moscow. So she is certainly potentially the mastermind behind this split of Rozanov with Tutberidze and acquiring Sasha Trusova, Veronika Zhilina, and Alyona Zhilina. There have certainly been rumors about Daria Usashova and Daniil Samsonov, but so far there is no confirmation that they will be leaving the Tutberidze Academy. We're certain to be following all of this, and hopefully you enjoyed this little backstory into the wife of Evgeny Plushenko and the great quotes of the man, the master of the boogie woogie, Alexey Zheleznyakov. Good night, everyone.